Portugal will have to maybe bide their time before they get through, and maybe extra time might be needed, but I do think Portugal will eventually come through.
Right. Okay, now, Jim, Romania against the Netherlands. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Netherlands are very lucky with this draw. In terms of that, I think that for most of last weekend it was looking that they were going to be pitted against England, and I think that might have been the end of the journey for the Dutch. But for me, Netherlands showed up a good lot of strengths and weaknesses in their group. They certainly have a good lot of strengths going forward, but defensively, they're coughing up goals, they're coughing up opportunities. In terms of that, Cody Gakpo, Liverpool looks a threat. They look at set pieces, they look sort of dangerous, but they look like to be error prone in the back, and they look like to being giving up sort of easy enough chances. It's easy to get at that heart of the Dutch defence. So, but then Romania, after a wonderful start, after a wonderful opening day performance, it's gone very downhill in terms of that. And that opening day performance really got them through really at the end. Good players in Dragosan, who plays with Tottenham Hotspur. Stanchu's a good player, Hadji. But I think the Netherlands will come through in this, and maybe by 2 goals to spare, maybe a 2-0 victory in this. But I wouldn't be have high hopes for Netherlands to go far in this tournament.
No, Jim, we know the coach, of course, is Ronald Koeman, of course, an outstanding player, top-class player, club and international level. The coach now, he's been around, coached several teams. Sometimes he seems to be okay, but I don't know, is it the Dutch mentality, but he seems to be getting some kind of, I don't know, is there always trouble in the camp in Netherlands as well traditionally, but maybe is he maybe looking at these players not as good as what he was himself as a player, or what you just quick thoughts on him?
I think basically he's trying to get the best out of his resources. He has been openly criticised. He's come out on social media and Twitter, and he's basically putting the challenge up to his players in terms of expecting performance previous Dutch standards. But when you look at some of the players Holland had passed, when you look at the World Cup final, they lost to Spain in injury time. They could call on players like Van der Vaart, Wesley Sneijder, Van Persie, Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, players of this quality. They just don't have that to call upon. Some of the players that Netherlands have here, Xavi, Simon, they're calling, they wouldn't lace the boots of Wesley Sneijder or Rafael van der Vaart or Robin van Persie. So this is another Netherlands team looking for the next generation of players to come through, and they're a decent team, but they're no world beaters.
Yeah, would you predict the Netherlands to win that game?
Yeah, I think Netherlands will come through 2-0, but I wouldn't have optimism for them going much further after that.
Okay, now, Jim. Okay, Jim, the last game in the last 16, we have Austria versus Turkey. Austria surprised some people by, I believe, top in their group. The Turks are again improving with some good players, so a very intriguing match.
I'm really looking forward to this, Paul. Many people talk about France and Belgium being the pick of the round, but for me, this is the pick of the round for me. This is a really tough game to call. This is a very hard game to call for me in terms of Austria have been brilliant so far in the tournament. They're pressing, they're counter-attacking, the workman-like approach that they have for each other, the never say die attitude. And Baumgartner for me has probably been one of the players of the tournament so far. He's been electric. And then you have Sabitzer, Arnautovic, Lehner, they've real sort of quality. But flip it then on that, and Turkey, I think, played a strategic move, Montella. I think basically that he rested players in that Portugal game and basically said, listen, we're going to put everything into the last game in terms of that. So Turkey's performance in game 1 was very good. Turkey's performance in game 3 was very good. So I think you can maybe take that Portugal result with a bit of a snitch of salt to it in terms of that maybe Turkey had a plan going into this tournament where they target Georgia and Czech Republic, and in terms of that, and it paid off given that they rested 5 or 6 starters against that Portugal game. In Yildiz, Güler, Castanalo, Yilmaz, they have some real attacking threat. Turkey offensively are very, very dangerous. They're scoring goals, they're creating chances, they're just scoring all different types of goals in terms of the tournament so far, and they have a real potency threat about them. Austria the same in terms of maybe the Turkish defence isn't that strong. This is going to be high scoring for me, and I think there might be a shock in this one. I think Turkey might get through on this, and I think it'll go all the way and maybe 3-2 to the Turks.
Yeah. Who would be the top players in Austria that maybe some people might recognise? Is there any players playing in the Premiership in England? Or?
Well, Sabitzer used to be with Manchester United. He's with Borussia Dortmund now. Baumgartner is in Germany with Leipzig, and Lehner is there as well with Bayern Munich. Arnautovic, we know, has previously played with Stoke, and he's with Inter Milan at the moment in terms of that. So they would be probably the recognisable faces in the Austrian team.
Yeah. Now, Jim, I suppose, as we know on these knockout stages, you have extra time potentially and also potential penalties. Will that influence the team? And we'll just kind of a general comment before we finish up. That if a team is maybe 15 minutes to go in normal time, they might just hang on and not really go for the goal, just level, just play for the extra time. And even some teams in extra time mightn't take any chances and just go for the penalty shootout. Does that change the mentality?
I think there's certain teams will be worried about the opposition and might have that approach. I think when you're looking at Portugal, Slovenia, I think Slovenia are not going to open up against Portugal. They're going to be two banks of four, have the forward chase it down. They're going to try and frustrate the life out of Portugal. I think Slovakia are going to try and do something similar to England. I say Denmark are going to try and do something similar to Germany, and Romania are probably going to try and do something similar to Holland. So those four teams would be extremely delighted, I'd say, if we went to extra time. Those sort of games. I think the Swiss and the Italians will have a go at each other. I think the French and the Belgians will have a go at each other. Georgia are set up to play all-out attack. That's the only way they play. If they set off Spain and let Spain have the ball, Spain would kill them. Austria and Turkey are set up to play attacking game. They're going to go all at each other as well. So I think maybe Slovenia, Slovakia, Romania, and maybe Denmark might have that approach.
Yeah.